In this video, I will be talking about the basics of the human skeletal system as it pertains to the CSCS exam for the NSCA. The human skeletal system consists of two main parts, the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton consists of the skull, the vertebral column, the rib cage, and the sternum. The appendicular skeleton consists of the shoulder girdle, the pelvic girdle, and the bones of the extremities. Bones are fitted together at junctures called joints. There are three main types of joints in the human body: cartilaginous joints, fibrous joints, and synovial joints. Fibrous joints, like those between the sutures of the skull, are synarthrosis, meaning they permit no movement. Cartilaginous joints, like that between the vertebrae and the intervertebral discs, are amphiarthrosis, meaning they allow some limited movement. And synovial joints, like that in the knee or the elbow, are diarthrosis, meaning they allow a considerable degree of movement. The articulating surfaces of the bones in a synovial joint are covered in hyaline cartilage. They also have a thick, viscous synovial fluid that lubricates the articulating surfaces of the adjoining joints. This fluid, along with the hyaline cartilage, allow for the ends of the bones to smoothly glide against one another without being ground to a pulp. Synovial joints are the most abundant joints in the human body, and there are a number of different types. There are pivot joints, like that of C1 and C2 of the vertebrae, hinge joints, like in the elbow, saddle joints, like that between the trapezium carpal bone and the first metacarpal, plane joints between the tarsal bones, condyloid joints, like that between the radius and the carpal bones of the wrist, and ball and socket joints, like that in the hip. Synovial joints can also be categorized by their axes of rotation, such as uniaxial joints, like hinge joints rotating about a singular axis, biaxial joints, which allow movement through two perpendicular axes, and multiaxial joints that allow movement throughout three perpendicular axes. Now let's move on to the vertebral column. The vertebral column is made up of individual vertebrae and intervertebral discs. The bones of the vertebrae consist of 7 cervical vertebrae, 12 thoracic vertebrae, 5 lumbar vertebrae, 5 sacral vertebrae, as well as 3 to 5 coccygeal vertebrae. And lastly, we'll move on to some different types of bones. There are flat bones like that of the frontal bone of the skull, sutural bones, which are throughout the skull, irregular bones, such as the individual vertebrae, short bones, like the carpal bones, long bones, like that of the femur, and sesamoid bones, such as the patella or the kneecap. The information in this video is taken from the Essentials of Strength Training and Conditioning textbook. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for future content.